brush up against some topics that we discuss on the Pepper Spotlight podcast. Uh, Before we dive into the questions, just want to check how are you doing, and everything. How is everything at work and at home?
Thank you for inviting Bhavan. We had a fantastic conversation last time, and looking forward to this. Uh, Thankfully, thankfully, uh, the people closest to me are safe, and but the majority of the people that I am that I need to talk to, or I'm generally talking to, it seems like the second wave is very dangerous, and almost every call I'm going to, either the person or someone very close to him is stuck right now because of a COVID issue. I have
Yeah.
cancelled things now. I'm just staying at home for a few days till the time we figure it out, and contribute to breaking the chain in whatever way we can.
Yeah.
It's a stress that way.
And everyone who's watching this on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, wherever, we urge you and request you also to stay indoors. If it's something very emergency and urgent, then only step out. Please wear a mask, maintain social distancing, because I think my timeline is also entirely filled with very difficult content about COVID and everything else. So just urging everyone to stay indoors. Uh, Before we get into the conversation, it was very important for us to address
Yeah,
this point. Pratik, to come to the Pepper Spotlight conversation that we did. I think you mentioned something about that. You had a math blog that you used to write long back. I'm not sure if it's still active and you're still active. I think you started a Substack recently, but I'm not sure if that's the same blog. Would you tell us about that math blog and some other side projects that you have done?
yeah. Uh, so, uh, I think it's very fair question, and I genuinely think that outside and we think about content creation as a business, etc. But most people don't start it like a business. At least I started when I was in fourth year in college, and my intent was just to tell what interesting problem I solved today. And it was fun for me that I would write a question and someone would say this is the answer, and then people will compete, and then I'll respond, well, these are the other answers I thought of, and so on. I was building a community of math solvers, and it was just fun. I never thought that it would be a business, and it never became a business as well, for different reasons, but the intent was only to have fun and engage with the community in some sense. uh, as far as I know, most communities start that way. Now, the math blog was one of the top math blogs of the country, and it was growing, and there was love, in the sense that I would go to any conference and people will tell me, you the same person who wrote that blog? So it was fun that way. But the reality is, it was not a money making machine at all. I was making a few dollars a day, that's it. And the reason for that was, the number of people who wanted that was low, and I never experimented with people paying money, and ad dollars would be very small there, etc., etc. So I think my big, and later when I became an entrepreneur, I tried to figure out different ways to make money to survive, and I did a lot of experiments. I did content. I did automatic content creation. I created a lot of small tools that people will perhaps pay some money for, etc. At least many people I know are successful at it. I was terrible at it. So at least from my perspective, I could not ever make money like a freelancer. I could make money as a coding freelancer. So I was a freelancer for a few Silicon Valley startups when my startups were not working out. But I could never make money as a content creator. And I always envy people who are able to make money that way. That's my short story around how I started the blog and my learning with it. It's very difficult to make even 10, 15, 20,000 rupees a month as a content creator. Like, you just hats off to people who are able to do that.
Pratik, I think it's a real skill to say in public that I am not good at this, or this is something that I couldn't do. And I think that honesty is something that I have also enjoyed during the last time when we were having a conversation. uh, and I remember you were answering something about luck, and I think that's the most honest and real answer I have heard when I've asked anybody about what they feel about luck in general. But not to go down on that path, I want to ask you, what is something that drives you every day to keep doing what you are doing currently? Because uh, I mean, sometimes I also find it difficult. Sometimes the reason could be what's going outside because of the pandemic, or any other personal life thing, or just someday just doesn't feel that motivation. But how do you keep be motivated and staying motivated, and what drives you every day to keep doing what you do?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have very, very clear point of view there. Yeah. See, my answer is coming from a position of privilege, though, that I'm working in a firm that gives me a platform where there's a lot of leverage. Uh, the reality is that over the next 5, 7, 10 years, maybe 70, 80, 100 unicorns will get created out of India. If I am able to create meaningful impact and and play a small role, even two or three of them, I know my job is worth it, and I've created value. So that is a meta level game. However, every day, there are small things which I feel proud of and happy about. So I would meet someone who would say that hey, Pratilipi helped him during his tough times, because Pratilipi gave him a way out, and helped him be energized by reading, etc. And I know my contribution is very, very tiny, but I take pride in the fact that I have that contribution in the company, because of which this person is able to say what he's saying, and that gives me happiness. It gives me happiness to know that the daughter of an auto driver got placed because of Newton School, and I know that we created impact there, and I know lots of people are happier because of the contribution by the company, and I had a very, very small tiny role to play in that journey, and maybe it's worth it. So that gives me happiness. And from an execution perspective, every day, see, my bias is that I can help companies in only three ways practically. One is fundraising, because most follow-on investors are talking to me, and I have a high level point of view on different spaces and how different companies are doing. So the follow-on investors will engage well with me. Second is strategic thinking, because I have more data points from global systems, and also other companies, so I can perhaps help the company in some way of strategic thinking. And hiring, where I can, because I have access to more talent and I have access to more companies, I can do the matching right, and everyone in the system will be happier. Now, I genuinely feel happy when I'm able to connect to people and a marriage happens either around hiring or around advisory or around fundraising. Because in my mind, that's such a simple, high leverage value that I can create. That it's very, very simple, and it's just beautiful value creation in my mind. And every day, it sounds simple, but I genuinely am happy because I know that there was that small impact that I could create because of the leveraged position I am in, and it's beautiful. So every day, it's a like I come from a position of privilege here, that investing or operating in a startup, like, these roles are very, very high, very, very high leverage, and that is why we are able to create more impact than the input that we need to give.
Wow. Um, Again, I think I just enjoy listening to your answers every time that I'm having a conversation with you. Something else also that you had mentioned during our podcast recording was to, you know, go for building an unsexy startup. And I think a lot of people who understood it, they were like, really, oh, I have understood this clearly. But some people were also a little confused about it, that if content as a space is very, very sexy now, should we not have a startup in that space? Or what was really, they had certain questions and doubts about it. Can we just revisit that sentence that you said, that go ahead and strive for building unsexy startups?
Sure. So, um, I'll share both perspectives. Why does a space become hot? The space becomes hot because there is some underlying trend, because of which the fundamentals are shifting, and because the fundamentals are shifting, new companies are getting created. Now, because that is happening, lots of people flock there and start building companies. Now, when many people do it, well, when many people do it, there's a reason to follow the crowd as well, because the crowd is not stupid almost every time. So it's okay to follow the crowd. If everyone is saying that, hey, it's okay to take engineering, then if you don't have any information, then maybe it's okay to take engineering, because that's what most people do, and it cannot be very bad at the end of the day. Uh, but if you have a specific point of view, then building unsexy business is sometimes better, because no one is looking at it. You have time, and no one else has money, so you have money to build it out under the radar and then scale. So I sometimes think that in sexy spaces the first step is easier while the second step is more difficult, because it's easier to go in the market because everyone is going after that. The problem is very clear, you just go in, create a product. But the second step is differentiate amongst the crowd, and that is very difficult. But in an unsexy space, the first step is more difficult: identifying the problem, talking to the stakeholders, convincing in new joinees or in investors about the model. It's very, very difficult. But after the first step is done, the second step is easier. So so the reason I brought up that point was that first is easier for people to appreciate, and everyone understands that there's a reason that space is hot and everyone should go after that. But the second is underappreciated and not talked about as much. I just wanted to bring it to light that people should think about unsexy spaces as well. If you think about it, all the content startups that we are talking about that are becoming hot now, they were started when the space was not hot. So when we invested in Pratilipi, no one was talking about Indian language or vernacular
Mm.
space.
Yeah.
ShareChat was not a vernacular hot company, right? It's just, no one knew what vernacular means in those days. No one knew what. And so it's the world is changing faster than we're imagining. And today, of course, the space is hot, but that does not mean that the companies were started when the space was hot. And best entrepreneurs perhaps need to think one step ahead in what could
Yeah.
be hot 2 years from now. Where is the puck moving? And that's where exciting companies are created. That does not mean that you should not be in hot spaces. That just means you explore other spaces as well.
Yeah, I hope the doubts and questions about that term is now solved for everyone who heard our episode and watched it on YouTube. Uh, Pratik, I think we started by talking about side projects and the math block that you used to write, and I think I want to end this short conversation with something that I recently saw, that you have started your own newsletter. Tell us about what you're going to write about. What are the plans for it? And I think you are coming back to that blog and newsletter writing space, and in that content space yourself as a creator. So I'm definitely excited about that. But why don't you tell everyone what that's going to be about?
Huh. Yeah, so again, it's a very early experiment. I'm just trying to figure out that I so what is my business model? Like personally, my business model is to find the best entrepreneurs, have access to them, and identify them and be able to put money in them. Eventually I'll make money if that is happening. So for that, I need to be well plugged into the ecosystem, and newsletter is one possible solution for me, where I would reach out to smart folks and share my thoughts and effectively reverse pitch that this is what I'm thinking. If you are thinking about these things, please talk to me. And the idea is to just write down some of the some of the problems I'm thinking about, or some of the developments that are happening in the ecosystem, and just create a platform to brainstorm with people. I do that on Twitter as well, but Twitter is more snacky and less deep in some sense, because the content is short. The intent in the newsletter is to have deeper discussion there, and create a community of like-minded folks. It's a very early. I've just had one issue out. Hopefully, I'll be able to build on top of it. It requires a lot of work. I that's why I said
Yeah.
I recommend I just respect continuous and disciplined content creation a lot. It just requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of focus. So I'm
Yeah.
not able to write the second issue yet. Perhaps in next week I should be able to. But it just requires a lot of work. And the
Yeah.
intent is, and writing actually clarifies my thinking as well, because then I need to be exact about it rather than being hand wavy about it. So that
Yeah.
it helps me learn as well. So last post that I did, was focused on more Roblox and on NFTs, and I think it was an interesting post, and I got to learn a lot about it, a lot from it, and hopefully that would happen in the next issues as well. So from my perspective, it's more about clarifying my thinking, writing it out, and building a community. And it's not, thankfully, like, because I'm working at a VC firm, it's not about monetizing that, but it's more about ensuring that I'm reaching out to the community in the right way, and monetization is happening from some other channel, really.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a super way to look at content as well. But because a lot of creators now, when they speak to me about they want to become a content creator, YouTuber, whatever they think about. So how will I get brand deals? When will I make money out of it? Sometimes it's not just about the monetization in it, but also to enjoy the process and learn also from that creation process.
I
Uh, Pratik, thank you so much once again for giving us your time. I think this conversation and also our Pepper Spotlight podcast conversation has brought in a lot of questions and a lot of thoughts to everyone who has been listening to us continuously. They're going to reach out to you on Twitter, LinkedIn, and everywhere for more questions. But thank you so much for giving us your time on a Sunday evening again.
happy to. Thank you, Pawan. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you, Pratik. Bye bye, everyone.